views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren, Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough, as well as across New York City. Coming up on today's show, we'll learn about a not-for-profit organization that's providing affordable housing and social services to help New Yorkers in need. And then afterwards, we'll discuss how one center is producing literary, performing, and visual arts programs. Then a little later on in the show, we'll talk to an organization that's providing nutritious, medically tailored meals designed to helping people too sick to shop or cook for themselves. And then also, we'll discuss how one organization is providing critical education as well as guidance to New York City's youth on the issue of dating abuse and domestic violence. And then finally, we're going to learn about the importance of reading those food nutrition labels. Yeah, if you ever had a hard time listening, I have too, but we're going to get you some help learning how to read those and why they're so important. You want to watch that and then some. So that's coming up on this episode of Open. Get ready because Open starts right now. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Open, a live and interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV sets. We also want to welcome our viewers on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast live simultaneously on our MNN channel. We also want to tell you that you can stay connected to us on our social media platforms at BronxNet TV, and don't forget to visit our website at bronxnet.org. Well, a lot has certainly been going on through the course of this past week. We'll take you through a couple of things with our Bronx updates. We start off with city news. New York City Mayor Eric Adams released his preliminary $98.5 billion budget, saying that it would save the city approximately $2 billion. Well, the mayor stated, quote, "As we build back from 2 years of uncertainty and trauma, we must ensure our finances promote growth and resilience for the long term." And the mayor also included cutting the Department of Education's budget by more than $826 million. City officials stated the reduced enrollment in the nation's largest school system and the elimination of about 3,200 open jobs will account for about that $375 million savings. Well, in other Bronx news, the mayor did sign executive orders pushing for healthy eating, and our BronxNet reporter, Brittany Albane, has the story.
Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson joined New York City Mayor Eric Adams at the Mercy Center in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx as Adams signed 2 executive orders that he believes will push New Yorkers to live a healthier lifestyle.
No matter where you live, no matter what zip code you live in, what language you speak, you deserve access to healthy food.
Executive Order 8, Commitment to Health and Nutrition, will force city agencies to revise their distributed food standards and add foods like fruits and vegetables. The act will begin on April 1st and be revisited every 3 years after.
The procurement process now is going to start including fruits and vegetables for the first time in the 30-year history of the program.
Adams also announced a new food distribution program that will distribute fruits and vegetables to over 500 food pantries across the city through the Emergency Food Assistance Program. Executive Order 9, Promotion of healthy foods in city publications and advertising on city property will require all advertising material that promotes food to feature healthy food.
We cannot continue to promote unhealthy, sugary drinks, fast food, fat contents, over-processed food.
These new orders align with Adams' new healthy lifestyle initiative. Recently, Adams announced vegan options in all public schools and even implemented plant-based clinics in hospitals throughout the city. This initiative stems from Adams' childhood, as he recalls his mother being given foods from pantries that only contributed to her eventual health conditions.
They were giving her canned meat. Little did she know that was going to feed her diabetes, her heart disease, her arthritis.
Adams hopes that this initiative will solve nutritional inequality and empower New Yorkers to eat healthier. Reporting for BronxNet, Brittany Schuyler Albane.
And thank you, Brittany. And that's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. Listen, want you to stay with us. We've got a great open coming up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a few.
When taking public transportation, don't touch your phone. Carry hand sanitizer and use it immediately upon leaving the bus or train. Avoid touching your face. If someone is coughing or sneezing, move away. Wash your hands with soap and water as soon as possible. Limit contact with poles. If possible, avoid rush hour. Don't eat or drink on public transportation. Keep your bag off the floor or other surfaces. Avoid directly touching turnstiles. Stay up to date with the latest from your local health department and CDC.
Welcome back to the show. HANAC is one of the largest social service organizations in New York City that's providing affordable housing, social programming, and independent living to diverse communities in need across our 5 boroughs. Now, the organization celebrates 50 years of services, particularly remaining dedicated to empowering vulnerable community members, especially older adults, delivering dignity as well as quality of life. And joining us now to share more details, we've got the Executive Director of HANAC, Stacy Bliagos. And Stacy, good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, Daren. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again, too, and a very special time for you. So
it's exciting.
About this momentous, tell us about this this time, because you're celebrating a momentous anniversary.
Yeah, so 50 years ago, our founder had this vision to help Hellenic immigrants coming from Greece, and certainly a visionary because he was a reporter for the Long Island Press, really was able to speak to the mayor at the time, get a grant, $75,000 grant, and then start canvassing the community about all the problems immigrants were having coming to this country. And really, we began our first 2 programs was ESL and our senior programming, our older adult senior centers. Since then, as you mentioned, we've grown into a citywide organization, helping 30,000 individuals annually, as well as he was such a visionary that he understood the need for affordable housing. So we started having affordable housing for older adults. Now we have over 400 units of affordable housing. We're looking to expand even more in the next couple of years. And it's an exciting time because 50 years means 50 years, not just 50 years of just being around, but 50 years of service and 50 years of helping the lives of vulnerable population. We have, I think I said this before and I say it all the time, we have the privilege of having staff that used to actually get services. So we have staff that used to be in our camps and that are now giving back to the community as directors of programming, helping this community now with their social programming. So it's an exciting time to be a part of this organization, and I'm so proud to be leading it.
And I know that you guys have really branched out and moved further into new communities, and I know that's a passion. You've also got some things going on with your younger people and the youth. So when we talk about youth programs and we talk about reaching out and going into new communities, give us a little bit about the work that's going on there.
Sure. So we have the Summer Youth Employment Program, and that really stands for, that's just condensed to SYEP. That is the first job that a teenager will get. And so we have exciting new programming in that we're trying to expand. I think Mayor Adams just announced that he was going to fund this program even more through giving money through the DYCD. And we're looking to expand even more in the Bronx. Currently, we have 2 partner schools that we have this programming in the Bronx, and that's the Bronx Early College Academy for Teaching and Learning High School, as well as Bronxdale High School. But we're hoping to expand even more for that program because it's super important for that particular program to expand for young adults. In terms of other programming, we have programming like the Compass programs that are after school programs. We have 2 sets of Compass programs, and Compass programs are after school programs that help young kids with their homework. But we have these 2 programs that specifically work with different initiatives. Our PS2, which is in East Elmhurst, focuses on STEM, and STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And our Compass 212, which is in Jackson Heights, has a Brighter Bites initiative program. They provide 150 bags of free fresh fruits and vegetables to families bi-weekly. So we really try and give young adults an opportunity to see what's possible, an opportunity to explore what they would be interested in exploring further down the line in school, and to give them something to do after school. Of course, the Compass program helps with homework, and in the summers, it acts as a day camp. So that helps parents know that their kids are somewhere safe and they're doing productive activities. One of the programs that I didn't mention if you can give me a chance to mention, which I love, is our Astoria Beacon program. And our Astoria Cornerstone program. And our Astoria Cornerstone program is in the Astoria NYCHA Houses development. The actual Cornerstone programs are in New York City Housing Authority housing developments. And this program helps young adults 5 to 24 with after school activities. This particular program that I want to mention we've just recently partnered with New York Sunworks and the New York Power Authority to provide a hydroponic lab. And we're hoping that serves as a model for other Cornerstone programs.
And so as you look at the programs that you have, obviously a lot of great work that's going on around the community. We know that New York is a very diverse place, and we've got a diverse population all across the city. You go into certain pockets, you're going to see certain people and certain groups of people. But I know that you've catered particularly in your demographic to dealing with those who are struggling with trying to find out about how to master the English language. And talk to us, because as the ESL program that you have, talk about the amount of people that you're serving and the work that you're seeing there.
Sure. So as I mentioned, the ESL program was one of the first programs that HANAC started. So we pride ourselves on helping the immigrant community acclimate to New York City and to the United States. Because if you think about it, if you don't speak the language, how are you going to, expect services? Even going to a medical appointment, you still need to speak the language. So we have several locations throughout Queens that help individuals with their ESL, English as a second language, as well as we also cater to helping individuals get their GED and get their high school equivalency diploma. So that is something that we pride ourselves in doing. We've helped thousands of individuals learn the English language, and then we try and set them up with our services to find employment, because we do have an employment program. And so we try and help them with their job. We have an immigration program. So if there's an issue with their immigration status, we will step in and help them there. So we provide this, packet of services, even though when people come to us, sometimes they say, oh, well, I just want to learn the English language. But then they realize the amount of services that we have. So they take advantage of those services. And we're lucky enough that the staff feels like family. So they talk to one another and say, hey, I have a client here that may be beneficial, that actually may benefit from the other services that we provide. So it's really an all-inclusive place where somebody can come in and get help that they need. But it starts with, that American dream. When you come into this country and say, okay, I want a better life for myself and my family, what's the first thing you need to do? Well, you need to learn the English language if you don't know it yet. So that is like the number one thing I think that allows individuals to feel comfortable so that they can move on in the process of living in New York.
50 years of doing great service. And Stacy, we want to thank you and the great work that's going on at HANAC to really be an influencer and a game changer in the lives of so many people. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much, Daren. Have a wonderful day.
All righty. And we want our viewers to know, if you want more information, don't hesitate. Visit them on their website, hanac.org, and then follow them on Facebook at HANAC INC. We do have more show for you. Don't go anywhere. Open is continuing right after this. Welcome back to the show. Alianza Dominicana is a cultural center that's a multidisciplinary arts center. It's located in Washington Heights, and it showcases contemporary and classical Dominican and Latin American art, dance, and music. Now, as part of New York City's Work, Learn, Grow employment program, 75 young people between the ages of 16 and 19 are currently completing internships through Alianza at work sites across the city. Now, joining us to share more details, we're pleased to have the Director of Alianza Youth Services for Catholic Charities of New York, Eddie Silverio. And Eddie joins us right now. And Eddie, it's got to be a good time for you and for your young people. We just recently learned that the mayor has really done something special in terms of creating more jobs for young people in New York City.
Yes, Daren, thank you for having us. Yeah, we are excited. 100,000 slots for this coming summer. I think it's gonna great opportunity for our young people, for our local businesses. I mean, one of the things that we want now is to go out there and let our different business owners that they have an opportunity to hire young people. One of the things that people don't understand is that SYAP has become the first stomping ground of employment for young people. So it's really that first stepping stone that allows young people to understand what it is to come in time, to save money, to what it is to work. So we really want to take SYP to that next level and really make it the training ground that it is. So we're open to hear from local businesses that would like to see if they can have young people work for them. 14 to 15 is going to be virtual, but 16 to 21 young people will be allowed to be in person. And we're looking at every gamut, every career you could think of. If you have someone and it's going to be a safe environment for our young people, and someone that can supervise a young person, we welcome them. But our young people are welcome to apply. It starts March 1st, and DYC will throw out the SYP application, and then young people could apply, and then they get to pick the different providers that they could work with. Catholic Charities is blessed to have the 2 community school-based contracts, one in the Bronx and one in Manhattan. And we also are based out of 8 schools right now. So if you work, if your school selected to be a partner with Catholic Charities, you could apply to work with us. And that's how it works. And we have over 52 providers citywide.
For you, looking at young people, I know I'm a product of SYEP. I grew up, and I won't tell you how many years ago, and had the opportunity to have a job during that time. And it really meant a lot to me. But looking at our young people today, looking at the challenges and how the economy is and how society is, what does it mean for them to be able to have employment opportunities in early age?
Well, so Daren, you said it, right? I'm probably a little older than you, but I tell you right now, when we were growing up, we could live off $5. Literally go to the bodega, get a little sandwich, get the fishy, the quarter water. Young people today, as of age of 14, come with at least a $200 monthly bill, either it'd be their cell phone, their Spotify account. So it's different. So young people learn how to, it's sad, but they have expenses earlier than we did, right? We didn't have that, many of those responsibilities when we were growing up. So I think the game has changed. So young people are looking for employment. They want to figure out so they can become independent. They can pay their own phone bill. They can pay their Spotify, their little money so they go to the mall. So as you know, young people, when it comes to spending, spend more than adults when it comes to the income. So it's a different situation. And I can tell you, for us, one of the things that we do concentrate is we do financial literacy. We do it as pre-employment and during employment and post-employment, because we want to make sure that young people understand the value of the dollar and that they learn how to save. We actually have a competition during the summer that if they save X amount of money, they get a bonus. So like that, they learn what savings is. And some of them have done well. The city did it a couple of years and it really worked, and young people started saving money. And then we really took it up a notch and started engaging them after SYP finished and created this thing called the Youth Employment Summit, where young people come together once a week to talk about different career and college paths. And then at the end of the program, if they accomplish X amount of hours, we give them an incentive of $500. So it's different ways how we maximize the opportunities for our young people here at Catholic Charities Alianza Division.
So how do you feel you're making an impact? Because we know that you are, but talk about the impact and what you see in terms of impacting the lives of young people and some success stories.
So I can tell you right now, I say this to the staff all the time, 95% of my staff on summer youth employment in the program is a former participant. I'm the only one that didn't work SYP. But I was a part of a youth program.
Man, you missed out.
Yeah. But I was part of a youth program actually, and I had my own good food store. So I used to sell sandwiches in front of a cathedral, the cathedral on 111, and that was part of a youth program. So part of a small business campaign that they had. So I was involved, but I never per se was official SYP. But I think in terms of SYP, I mean, I think she's gonna kill me for this, but one of them, so many of them, but one of my grants managers at DYCD who funds us, she manages one of our other portfolios. She was an SYP participant in the 90s. And every time she has an opportunity, she tells people that. And this young lady was coming to George Washington. Her friend said, "Oh, come and work with Alianza." And she started working with us. And that opened up her appetite for employment. And after her parents allowed her to work. And she's always says it to us. And we have Sean Abreu, who's our councilman, was an SYP participant through us. I mean, so from doctors to lawyers, assistant district attorneys, and just everyday citizens that walk. And I can tell you the biggest thing is we've been doing this for a little while, to see the children of the young people that worked SYP now applying. And they come and call me, "Eddie, that's still you." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me. I worked with you." So that's the beauty. So like Daren, I could talk for days on the alumni. And then I think the most famous in our community that was an SYP, not under my tutelage, he's a little older than me, but Congressman Espaillat always talks about SYP being his first job when he came from the Dominican Republic. So I think so you talk about SYP. SYP is the base of employment opportunities for young people. And I think all young people should apply and take this serious. This is not social welfare. This is a real opportunity to learn skills. And if you start at 14 and go all the way to 21, you have an opportunity to have 7 different careers. So that's how you have to look at this opportunity. That if you if you look at the opportunity, if I can start at 14 and think, and one job this summer, the next job next summer, you're building your resume. So as straight as you graduate from college, you have 7 different employment opportunities. Not everybody could say that. And I think that's the important of SYP. And that's how we got to give it the value that it really has. And, I think everyone and anyone that has been blessed as a worksite provider or as a participant understands the positive impact of SYP.
Well, I tell you, you've done some great work over there and impacting the lives of young people. When we talk about the alumni list, I'm on it. There's a lot of people who can say, listen,
Yeah.
I've really got the experience, the skills, and the wherewithal, and it came from started right there in summer jobs. But I want to thank you for the work that you're doing, empowering people. Want to definitely bring you back to the show. We're out of time for this segment, but keep
Okay.
on doing what you're doing, Eddie, and thanks for being with us.
No, thank you, Daren. Thank you for the opportunity. And I welcome you to come back when we are actually doing the program so you guys can see it hands-on, the work sites. And if you ever have a thing on promoting for work sites, let us know. We would love to have some of our work site providers speak to you and your viewers, because I think it's important that whoever owns a business or has a business that could to give young people this opportunity and employ them through SYP. You don't have to pay for the labor. All you have to do is to fill out the paperwork, and I think it's important. And we go once a week, twice a week to visit the kids and make sure that they're doing well, and any questions you have. So it's a great opportunity for local businesses to get in, and then you could for 6 weeks you intern them, and if they do well, then you go offer them a job. But you're not binded by that. But I think it's just it opens the doors for many possibilities. And I'm sorry because I'm long-winded, brother, but thank you so much.
That's all
for
right,
this
brother.
opportunity.
Listen, no, we're glad to have you. And thank you. We'll definitely be following up and letting people know more about it. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna let you know if you want more information. Don't hesitate. Go ahead and visit the website CCCNY. I should say CCCSNY.org. I'll repeat that again. CCCN.
CCCSNY.org.
Yeah, you fixed it for me, Ed. Thanks a lot. And then also follow them on Facebook as well as Instagram at Catholic Charities NY. Listen, we got more show. Thank you, Ed, for joining us. But listen, we got another guest coming up right after this. You don't want to miss right here on Open. Welcome back to the show. God's Love We Deliver is an organization providing medically tailored meals to people of diverse cultural as well as economic backgrounds. The meals are designed to make healthy eating easy as well as convenient at a time in which people need it the most. Now, joining us to share more details, we are pleased to have Director of Communications at God's Love We Deliver, Emmett Findley. And Emmett, good to have you. And when we talk about the work of really impacting people by making sure they have these meals, a lot of the work that you have is really driven by volunteers.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having us. So God's Love We Deliver, volunteers really are the heart and soul of God's Love We Deliver. Just to go back to our meals, we know that good, healthy food can help people who are living with severe and chronic illness. It helps them manage their medications. It keeps them out of the hospital. It keeps them at home where they're happy and healthy. And volunteers are an integral part of making all of this happen. So we have a kitchen here in Soho in Manhattan. And from this kitchen, we cook over 10,000 meals a day with the help of those volunteers. And then we package them and deliver them all over the city. And this year we'll deliver over 2.6 million meals, thanks to those many hands and hearts of our volunteers and a small but dedicated staff and the whole community that helps support our work.
And when you talk about having these volunteers, we're still in the pandemic, and everybody's been talking about how people have really risen to the occasion to be able to help one another out during the time. What's it been like for your organization, given the fact that we've been in this pandemic and there were so many people who are dealing with this issue of food insecurity all across New York City?
Yeah, we are so fortunate to have always had an extraordinarily dependable generous volunteer base of hundreds and hundreds of people a week and thousands of people a year. And, you know, during the pandemic, things have shifted for people, right? People who could come weekly needed to stay home. People who all of a sudden had more free time were able to come in. So we've seen shifts in our volunteer numbers and our volunteer populations. And of course, those continue to change over time. But we really feel like we're an extremely fortunate organization to have the kind of support that we have. And COVID has really made it a very scary time for people. And our volunteers take that to heart, and they know that by showing up, they are helping prepare good, healthy, nutritious meals for people who really need it. And we're addressing food insecurity every single day. And it's not just food, right? To address food insecurity, it's the right nutrition. We are providing the right food for people when they're very, very sick. And that is key to the entire quality of life, social determinants of health, you name it. Good nutrition really is a key component to all of that.
Yeah. So for people who are out there right now saying, listen, I want to help. This sounds like a worthwhile thing that I want to participate in to try to impact the lives of other people. How do they go about volunteering and what's required of them?
Absolutely. So it's we try to keep it as easy as possible because we don't want to scare anybody away. So you can just head on to our website, which is glwd.org, godslovewedeliver.org. There's a quick and easy sign up through a portal. But once you've done that, you get to click through and pick the shift of your choice. So if you want to chop veggies or peel some onions maybe, or work in our bakery, you can do that. You can package meals into the bags for our clients. And if you really want to get out and see the city, you can come deliver, which is our most needed volunteer shift. We need people on the roads with our delivery drivers. We need people walking around the neighborhoods. All sorts of delivery opportunities are available because we are ringing over 1,200 doorbells a day, getting our meals to people. So if you've got an hour, 3 hours, any amount of time makes a huge difference in the lives of our clients.
How have those numbers shifted over the course of the past couple of years? You talk about 1,200 doorbells you're ringing a day, but what's it been like for you over the last couple of years? Has it been a dramatic increase?
Yeah. So when COVID hit, we experienced, at the height of COVID, we experienced a 30% increase in demand. Prior to COVID, we were doing about 8,500 meals a day, and now we're at about 10,500 meals a day. And the numbers only continue to increase. This year, this spring, we're actually about to deliver our 30 millionth meal. And it's nice to have that moment of sort of achievement in this, still this very dark time of a pandemic, but to know that all 30 million of those are individually tailored, medically tailored to the person who needs it and home delivered right to their door, made with love by a volunteer. It brings it all full circle to making for a really great volunteer opportunity for everyone and a huge impact for the city.
And what are the impacts of having, because we talk about medically tailored meals and they are tailored specific, of course, but what are the impacts for the individual that actually receives a medically tailored meal in their own life?
Right. So it can be everything from it reduces hospitalization rates, because if you're well nourished at home, you're less likely to go into the hospital. Right. And so if you're at home, you're happier, you're most likely healthier, you've got the support of whoever's at home with you. And it lowers healthcare costs because you're not going into the hospital. It's a real win for the entire ecosystem, I think, of people who need care, people who give care, the healthcare system in general. But really, at the end of the day, it means that people are well nourished at home. They get that care of the community, even if the delivery person is the only person they see that day or sometimes that week. That is a hi and hello that they look forward to, and a meal, many meals for the week that really strengthen and provide nourishment, but also delicious, appetizing food that our clients can really enjoy and count on. Our clients know that we'll be there no matter what.
Yeah. So as the volunteers are out there, you're out there in the street, you're meeting people. Talk to us about what it's like on the other side to be a recipient of that. What have you heard from the clients that you've been serving? Because as you said, it's a tremendous impact, but it also eases the burden for so many people who really, because some can't get outside and some are, as you mentioned, medically challenged.
Yeah, I mean, we serve we're going to serve over 10,000 people this year, which is an enormous number of people. And that includes our clients who are living with severe illness, and then their children and their senior caregivers, because we understand that if you're sick and you can't care for yourself, there are other people in the home that will need help as well. So we provide meals for children and senior caregivers. And our clients come from all sorts of backgrounds and all sorts of different needs. 20% of our clients live with not one diagnosis, but 4 or more. So they might be living with HIV and cancer and severe diabetes and something else. And so our meals really need to make sure that they can address every single illness, all of their treatments, and their preferences. Our clients come from all backgrounds and all walks of life. We serve all 5 boroughs, regardless of age, regardless of socioeconomic status and income. We're here to make sure that people who are very, very sick can get the care that they need. And so if anybody's out there who's watching this, who is themselves ill and having difficulty shopping or cooking for themselves, or if they have a loved one who's in that position, please give us a call. We're here to help, and we'll deliver.
Yeah, 1,200 meals a day. You're going all across New York City. That's a pretty long stretch when we talk about New York City, and you got many people out there doing deliveries, and not just deliveries, but really bringing smiles and love to people's faces. And so, continue the great work that you're doing, and we're glad to have you here on the show.
Thank you so much. And we hope that everybody can either come on by or give us a ring or check out our website or Instagram. We're doing really wonderful work, and it's because of all of our community.
That you are doing, and I'm going to give people the website right now. If you want more information, you can reach them on glwd.org, and then also follow them on Twitter and Instagram at God's Love NYC. And there you can find out about volunteers, the lives that are being impacted, the 1,200 meals that are going out a day. And Emmett, congratulations to you and your organization for really putting a spark in the lives of people who really need it the most. Thank you much for being with us.
Thank you.
All righty. Well, we want to thank Emmett Findley from God's Love We Deliver. And guess what? We're going to deliver you more open coming up right after this. Welcome back to the show. Founded in the year 2003, Day One has partnered with youth to end dating abuse and domestic violence through community education, supportive services, legal advocacy, as well as leadership development. They've educated more than 100,000 young people on how to identify and maintain healthy relationships, obtain legal protection when necessary, and assist others that are experiencing abuse. Join us now and sharing us some more details. We've got the senior case manager at Day One, Megan De León, and we thank you, Megan, for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I think it's important that when we talk about our young people, that this particular issue is addressed at an early age. And I know that you spend a lot of time in your organization, spend time really crafting information and bringing awareness to young people when it comes to the whole issue of dating, because as you become an adult, you kind of like replicate who you are as a young person. So you're really impacting them at an early age.
Absolutely, yes. I think that it's super important to educate youth as early as possible on the issue of healthy relationships. And that can look very simple. It can look like having a conversation around boundary setting. It can look like having a conversation around how to communicate your feelings and emotions. And to talk about more of the work that we do at Day One, it can also look like receiving a workshop from one of our community educators, which can range from topics such as how to help a friend who's in an abusive situation, or how to have conversations around like sexuality and gender identity. So I do agree with your point regarding that it is necessary and crucial to begin talking to young people as early as, I would even say, elementary ages, to discuss more how to promote healthy relationships and so on.
So when we talk about promoting healthy relationships, what does that look like? How do we go about instilling in our young people what it is they need to know for a healthy relationship? What would you say constitutes that kind of healthy relationship?
What I would say would be helpful in that is definitely engaging in conversation with youth around boundaries, communication, and feelings. It can also look like pointing out unhealthy relationships, like through the media. We do a lot of that within our workshops, where we would show examples of like unhealthy relationships and compare them to healthy relationships in the media or in like pop culture, because we also have to consider what young people are into and what they are seeing. And oftentimes that does involve us incorporating a lot of what's popular into our material and into our workshops, and even into our conversations with clients as well.
And so we talk about relationships, we talk about intimate relationships, and we know young people are intimate at an early age, sometimes unadvisedly, sometimes in a place where they wish they hadn't necessarily gotten to, because you get a place where there's potential for abuse. I want to talk about the word coercion, I want to talk about the word consent, and there is a difference, right?
Yes, there definitely is a difference. So consent is basically providing permission or agreeing to an activity, whereas coercion is forcing someone to engage in an activity without their consent. And this can include means such as manipulation, blackmailing, threats, and gaslighting, which are all essentially tactics that abusers use to seek and maintain power and control. Within coercive acts, there can also be alcohol involved or intimidation, physical force, as well as emotional abuse. And I think that what's also important to note about our work at Day One is that we emphasize the fact that all forms of abuse are valid, whereas some people may have this notion that physical abuse is the most valid form of abuse, but we do also acknowledge that young people can be like in cyber relationships. So tech abuse is also a form of abuse that should be highlighted and recognized. We also do acknowledge things such as financial abuse, there's psychological abuse, and so on.
Yeah. And as we know right now, a lot of people are dealing with this issue of domestic violence in a new kind of way, because the pandemic has raised it to new levels, with a lot of people staying indoors and having to deal with their partners indoors or in close proximity. Talk to us about what you've seen throughout the course of the pandemic and numbers rising.
Absolutely. So we have definitely seen an increase in numbers. So to just share statistics, 70%, we have had a 70% increase in our helpline calls in 2019, which would include the first year of the pandemic. And in addition to that, overall, just having to quarantine with an abusive partner can escalate abuse. If you can imagine being shut out from the outside world, shut out from your support systems, being in quarantine with an abuser essentially does escalate isolation. So you know, a person who's experiencing harm or violence will not be able to reach out to their trusted networks, may not be able to receive remote services because it might not be safe for them to use a device in the home with the person who's also causing them harm. So again, we have seen a 70% increase in our helpline calls. We have also seen that youth, which are the students that we do support and the clients that we support, involved in unhealthy relationships during the pandemic, no longer had access or had limited access to trusted adults that they would usually see in schools. And they would also have very limited, if not, they've lost all access to their support networks, such as their friends who they would have spoken to if they were still in a school building. So again, the pandemic has definitely shown us that there has been an increase in domestic violence, and we have seen that through our numbers also increasing as well. our impact numbers.
And Megan, what advice do you give to young people right now who may be watching the show saying, listen, I might find myself in a situation that isn't so healthy. I need help. I need to try to get out or to be able to maneuver. What advice do you have for them?
I would encourage any young person to check out our website, which is day1ny.org. On our website, we do have several ways that you can get in contact with one of our staff members at Day One. We also do have the number to our helpline and our text line, which we find that young people tend to utilize our text line a lot to reach out to us. And I want to say that if you need someone to talk to, don't hesitate to contact us. It is important that you have a trusted adult or a trusted friend who can provide you with support if you are in an unhealthy or toxic relationship. We also do have an Instagram account, which is Day1NY. And on that account, you can find more resources on how to get help. And you can also DM us. We find that a lot of our followers DM us seeking support. And through our Instagram, we have also connected with students who would eventually become clients once they're connected with our social services program.
How big an issue are we talking about when it comes to youth violence, youth domestic violence? I think sometimes people underestimate how bad it is.
I do agree with that. So 1 in 3 teens report experiencing some form of abuse within their dating relationships, which include physical abuse and emotional abuse. Again, it's important to note that Day One is the only organization in New York City that dedicates all of its resources to supporting this specific population. And with that stat alone, that 1 in 3 teens report experiencing some form of abuse, it speaks to the necessity and the severity of the issue of teen dating violence.
Megan, a lot of helpful information that you dispatched to us here today. Thank you for joining us. And of course, we want to make sure that everybody gets this kind of information, particularly our young people. It's amazing to know the things that they're contending with. I often say that they're dealing with more than we ever had to deal with in our generation. But the good news is that there are resources around to be able to help them out. So Megan, thank you so much for being with us and sharing.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Megan De Leon, and she is the Senior Case Manager at Day One. I'm going to take a quick break, and we come back and we'll have our last segment right here on Open. And welcome back. I'm sure that you'll get something out of this segment. Well, food labeling regulations, they are complex. They're actually making it harder for consumers to understand them. Reading packaged foods that look healthy sometimes is often misleading, which is why learning how to read nutrition labels is really becoming a great skill, especially as you move to a whole food or a plant-based diet. Well, you got to ask yourself the question, what are some of the things I need to know? And how do I assess these nutrition labels that are out there? Joining us and sharing more information about this very topic, we are pleased to have the plant-based nutrition health coach and owner at CB Health and Wellness, Dr. Cecilia Basbus, with us. And Dr. Basbus, good to have you. And as I was telling our viewers just a few seconds ago, this is becoming more and more complex, particularly for people who want to eat healthy. You have to know the numbers, and you have to know what each number actually represents and how it plays out in our daily diet.
That is so true. Hi, Daren. Good to be here again. So I did want to explain a little bit about what is this labeling that you can see in the box, on the other side of the box. Even if you're plant-based or not plant-based, just in your regular diet, and easy way to really understand all these numbers and everything that you can see, because it's a very long box with a lot of like things written down, the numbers and percentage and stuff like that. So whenever someone sees like something like that, then it's like, oh man, I don't really know what is this. Let's just buy it. And and like that. But I do want you to like see a specific 2 to 3 things that are important in each label, and then from there you can identify if you want to buy it or not.
Right. So let's look at a label and walk us through what it looks like on the label. We already see the big number, which I pay attention to, which is the calorie count. We got to get the calories right. But then in addition to the calories, there's a whole much more there.
That is so true. So let's just try to see, like if we see a label, so the first thing you have to see on the top of the label is the amount of servings that are there. So depending on the amount of servings, it's going to identify underneath the amount of calories, right? But usually the calorie number, it's big. So usually someone sees this label and says, oh, it has, for example, this one that I'm looking over here, it has 280 calories, right? So this, you say, oh, okay, this is a lasagna. Let's just say, so it says, oh, it's 280 calories, not that bad. But if you look at the amount of servings, it says that this label has 4 servings. So if you multiply that lasagna box by 4, then you have 1,120 something, 20 calories, okay? So then you have like half of the amount of calories per day in just one box of lasagna, okay? So that's one thing that we have to like be careful and pay attention when we do this. And then the other thing that we need to see is the nutrients, underneath. So we're going to be looking at 4 or 5 things that are very important to see. First of all, we need to see the amount of fat, the saturated fats. Then we have to look at the amount of sodium in that label, and the fiber and the total of sugars, okay? So next to this, it has something that has like a percentage, and then it has daily value. So those are the amount, that's the percentage of nutrients that it has, this box over here, okay? So we need to understand 2 things. We need a low number of certain things and a higher number of other things to this to be nutritious and something beneficial for you. So we need. So
let me just jump in real quick and say, so when I see things like fat, I see stuff like cholesterol, and I'm looking here and I see sodium. Those are the things I need to be staying away from. But I think about the protein, I'm in a better place.
Exactly. So what it has to be low is it's exactly those things that you were telling me about. The amount of saturated fat, the sodium, and the added sugars. So those need to be lower than a 5%. So if you look at this nutritional fact has saturated fat is at 23%. So it has a high amount of fat, right? And then it has sodium, 37%. So that's also high, which by now then it says that it's not great. And then we're looking at the amount of added sugars. And this one has added sugar has a 0%. So that's good, actually. So, but it has high amounts of sodium and high amounts of fat. Okay.
So you gotta pay attention to those numbers, because those are numbers are really here.
And then the other thing that you need to look at is the higher percentage number. So we need to have a higher number than 20 in certain things like fiber. And then we have vitamin D, potassium, iron, and calcium, okay? So in this one, for example, in this one that we're gonna be showing, it has, if you look at fiber, it has a 14% of fiber, right? And it should be higher than 20.
So when I think about this, I think about watching the numbers, but now it's not just good enough for me to watch the numbers. I have to watch what's called the serving size, and that's also listed there too. And we talk about eating healthy and healthy servings. I remember going to England, and the running joke that I have is that when I go to England, that serving size is like this compared to what we have. Like, we fill the plate up. We put a whole lot on the plate. But when it comes to England, I only had a few fries. I felt like I wanted to get a refund because it was nothing on the plate.
Exactly. Yes. Here in America, we tend to like have bigger plates. So always try to look for the dessert plates, the smaller ones. Like try to like picture if you were in England, right? Or somewhere far away that's not America, the smaller plates. So those should also like be, the serving size should not be like the whole thing, like if it's a mountain. So it should be like, a low amount. And then always try to like have a lot of colors in the plate. So if it has a lot of colors, it means it has some vegetables in it. If it's all like white and red, it means that it's pasta and tomato, and it's not that great. So it does not have a lot of fiber, which is not good for you. So if it has like a rainbow color, some red, some orange, some yellow, then it's always more beneficial for you. And greens, obviously. Greens should always be there.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to this thing between serving size and nutritional value? What are some of the most common mistakes that we're making?
I think that usually a lot of people, what they say is like when they look at the package on the other side, they look at the amount of calories. And it's always very deceiving because nobody looks at the amount of serving that is there. So usually you see, oh, that's a low number, then it's great, I can have the whole thing. But that doesn't mean that you should eat the full amount of the bag or the box. It means that's first serving. And the serving that it says there is always the amount of serving, but that doesn't necessarily means that it's something that it should be good for you to eat, right? So what I would say is you're always going to be safe when you eat things that are natural. Whatever is processed that come from a factory, then I always say the same thing. Whatever it comes from a factory is not going to be great for you. Whatever comes from the ground has a lower amount of calories, and then it has more nutrients for you. So always try to like cook at home with things that you know what they are. If you look at the other side and it has a lot of like names that you've never heard of or you cannot pronounce, then it means it's not great. And if it has a big list, also, it's not great. Those are the things. You have to have like 5, no more than 10. 10 is like something that you should just put it back.
Yeah, a lot of information there. And Dr. Cecilia Basbus, want to thank you for joining us, sharing. It's important for us to take a look at our nutritional value. Important for us to also be able to know about the serving size. And most of all, the big lesson that we said, make sure that your plate has a whole lot of colors on it. Some helpful advice, Dr. Cecilia Basbus. Thank you so much for being with us.
You got it. I'm always happy to be here with you and sharing a little bit of my knowledge with everybody.
Yes. Well, a lot of information there. But if you do want more information, well, what do? You can reach her at 646-427-2584 and then visit the website, cbhealthandwellness.com. Well, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, of course, you can catch the recablecast here on BronxNet Television, and then we invite you to stay connected to us on our social media platforms at BronxNet TV, and of course, the website, bronxnet.org. If you're looking for a brand new episode of Open, check us out on Friday. My girl, Rena Valentine, will bring you the best of arts and entertainment. We also want to thank our viewers who've been watching today on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Is Open is being broadcast live on the MNN channel. Until next week, I'm Daren Jaime saying take care, God bless, and keep this channel wide open.